Joe Biden's been a racist and a segregationist. He threw in with these people. Joe Biden has talked in violent terms and words since the very beginning when he threw in with the racists and the segregationists. His entire campaign has been based on saving the country from Hitler. To me, the biggest racist, bigot, anti-Semite on TV, and that's a big focus because there's a lot of these types on TV, is Joy Reid. I don't know how you suspend for one show Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. That's bad enough. Don't get me wrong. That's bad. But Joy Reid is like the pinnacle of poison in this business. And there she is at the Republican convention. And look who's surrounding her. Psaki, who's a complete slime ball, and Maddow, who is a complete Marxist hack, who pushed that Russia collusion thing. So I want to ask you a question. What kind of a broadcast network hires Psaki, who lied for Biden and covered up his dementia all those years, and immediately hires her? And then you look at Rachel Maddow, and she has spent years pushing all the crap that the FBI and the Clinton campaign pushed, the damage they did to this country. She's still there. She's not fired. And then they take this they take this Joy Reid, or Roy Joyd, I don't know. They take her. She was a blogger. She had horrendous blogs, viciously smearing gay people. Oh, you didn't know that. Viciously smearing blacks who didn't agree with her, Jews, a bigot. And when MSNBC plucked her basically from obscurity to give her a platform, it came out. And she said, I didn't do that. Somebody had, broken into my site. What? And so she said, I'm going to call the FBI to come in and take a look and find out who it was. Well, she didn't do that because the FBI would have found out it was her. And so she got away with it. I don't know if she apologized or not, but that's what's in the head. About 2 weeks ago, give or take, she was really in the Hitler mindset. I heard her from a clip that my radio producer, Rich, had put together. She must have called Trump Hitler 3 times in the course of 1 or 2 sentences. And I put a post out, and I said on radio, and I've said elsewhere, this woman needs to go. She is sick. And I'm sick and tired of people using Hitler to attack Republicans and conservatives. It's one thing if you have Hitler youth in the street who are talking about the extermination of Jews, who are literally conducting their own Kristallnachts. That is Hitlerian. But because you disagree with somebody on political matters, that is not Hitlerian. And to dumb down what the Holocaust and Hitler was about is incredibly offensive. Obviously, I'm Jewish. I'm an American Jew. For Jewish people, the Holocaust is the worst of the worst. Of all the genocidal attacks against the Jews, it's the Holocaust that is remembered. So when some left-wing propagandist demagogue keeps calling Donald Trump Hitler, he has Jewish grandchildren, a Jewish daughter, a Jewish son-in-law, was the best friend Israel ever had. Go over there and ask them. They'll tell you that. He wouldn't be withholding arms from Israel. He wouldn't be funding Iran. Iran was on its back. That's why they want to assassinate him. It is offensive beyond imagination. And yet MSNBC hired her, then promoted her into a primetime 7 p.m. slot on their network under the umbrella of Comcast, for which many of us have cable. You know, Comcast is a monopoly in a lot of towns. There's not like you have 2 choices. You have no choice. It's either them or Fios or nothing. Or you just go off the grid. I guess you use digital and these other things that I don't quite understand. But for Fox, this is kind of where you go. And she's just so loathsome. So here President Trump was just shot. This is from Tuesday, I think. Tuesday. And here she goes.
Universal kind of reaction that I'm getting, whether it's civilians or, professionals, is really a deep concern and lack of confidence in not us at this table or us at MSNBC, but us as the media writ large. And a fear that what's going to happen now is that the Republican Party will do what they do. They're in the middle of a campaign. The convention started today. But the media will acquiesce to trying to convince people that the things they've been experiencing for the last 5-6 years didn't happen. That the greatest purveyor and promoter of political violence, really, since anyone can remember, since George Wallace, I think, that we just haven't experienced that kind of open, sort of citing or sort of incitement of violence or sort of luxuriating in the idea of violence. It's just not something we're used to.
You know what makes me sick about this? You have Antifa, Democrat, BLM, Democrat. You have this Hitler youth in the street talking about exterminating Jews, carrying around the flag with a swastika on it, literally beating Jewish kids and so forth and all. These are all Democrats or Democrat-aligned organizations. These are all organizations defended by the Democrat media. Lots of this has been funded by Democrat billionaires in dark money. We've gone over all of that. She talks as if it's the Republican Party that's behind all the violence. Let me ask you a question. And I heard Judge Jeanine say this, and it was a brilliant point. After the failed assassination attempt on Donald Trump, how many riots were there? None. How much retribution was taken? None. How many deaths occurred as a result of that? None. What did MAGA do? Did they go out in the streets? Did they burn buildings and cars? Did they commit acts of arson or acts of violence? Nothing. Nothing. It's unimaginable, but imagine if the shoe were on the other foot, what might happen. I'm sick and tired of the party of the Klan, the party of lynching, the party of the Civil War, that is, the Confederacy and slavery and segregation. I'm sick and tired of them trying to paint the Republican Party and conservatives as they are, as their history is. They're the party of violence. They're the undemocratic party. And they've been that way almost since the founding of the Democrat Party. They've moved from, obviously, racism against blacks to bigotry against whites. Their anti-Semitism against Jews has always existed. You can look at Franklin Roosevelt. You can look before that, well before that. It's the Republican Party that defends Israel and the Jews today, not the Democrat Party. It's the Republican Party that wants to provide opportunities through our institutions, through our principles, to black communities and Hispanic communities and so forth. This party is about government, the centralization of government and the welfare state. This party is about forcing you to believe things that aren't true, that women aren't women and men aren't men, and that men that claim to be women or transitioning women can play sports and women's sports. They destroy the whole Title IX of the Civil Rights Act. I mean, this is a highly violent party. George Wallace, she says. George Wallace was a Democrat. All those Southern racists were Democrats. Joe Biden's a Democrat. Joe Biden's been a racist and a segregationist. He threw in with these people. Joe Biden has talked in violent terms and words since the very beginning, when he threw in with the racists and the segregationists, to today. His entire campaign has been based on saving the country from Hitler.
For all this and much more, sign up for LevinTV.